It's more of an onshore flow in recent last hour or so, and you can see how the surf is, certainly angry, agitated, the water coming up, covering the beaches across this area. And certainly the concern that is that the surge flooding will rise as well. Now that we do have that, true onshore push of water, the concern for more than 4 to 6 feet of surge water rise across this area. And that is life-threatening. You do not want to be anywhere on the coastline, on the beaches when that happens, because 4 to 6 feet, 6 feet is over a lot of people's heads. Even 4 feet is certainly knock you down and pull you away. So we are watching continuing coverage of Hurricane Hanna right here on the Weather Channel. We are watching the wind, especially down around the Port Mansfield areas, continue to be strong. Let's bring in Carl Parker and talk more about that wind. And Carl's is seeing some of the reports come in from the National Weather Service with some of those coastal observation network that they have set up down there. Over 100-mile-per-hour wind gust over water, but still,
yeah,
that potential is there.
Absolutely. You got no friction out there, so you tend to get much higher readings. But yeah, we've seen several really impressive reports at buoys. There was one of 79 that was just north of Mansfield right before they got walloped by that big band that came through. And now some of that strong wind is coming down into the Rio Grande Valley, and it's going to be down there for such a long period of time. This is what's really difficult about this storm. Because of that slow forward speed, the Rio Grande Valley is going to be pounded by this thing all night long, through the overnight into tomorrow morning. Finally, by the middle of the day tomorrow, it begins to relent some, but the wind's now gusting to 49 miles per hour in Harlingen, now gusting to 45 in McAllen. There's going to be a lot more of that where that came from. You see this sort of outer banding that's coming through right across Interstate 2 right now. The inner eye wall dropped down into Port Mansfield, and again, we got some reports of some structural damage there. It was a really tough period, and it's not over yet as it's still driving into that area. In Corpus, it looks like you're going to be just outside of the very worst wind, which is right there, but certainly winds gusting over 50 miles per hour for several hours yet. Now, here's a look at the model forecast. This is one of our high-resolution models showing you how this is probably going to play out. We'll see landfall here most likely within the next couple of hours, and then the center of circulation will continue to slowly drift to the southwest. Still very heavy rain coming down along the coast there from Padre Island right down into South Padre and Brownsville and Raymondville and over into McAllen and Harlingen. And then notice here, this is 11 o'clock at night, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. It is still really raining hard in the Rio Grande Valley, and that's an area that is notorious for flash flooding. So we've got a real concern about flash flooding overnight. There could easily be some double-digit rainfall totals in the Rio Grande Valley, even into tomorrow morning. That's 10 o'clock in the morning, still really coming down there in McAllen and in Hidalgo County. And then finally, it does finally begin to let up as we get into Sunday afternoon. But it's going to be a really tough period, particularly considering that it is the epicenter of COVID in Texas. So we're kind of layering a crisis on top of a crisis, which is what we've been worried about all along. Since the beginning of the hurricane season, this is the question we've been asking: how are people going to be able to deal with this when they're